Hey guys, John Wooten here. Today I want to talk to you about Monero and this new thing called Webchain and how this amazing technology can actually skyrocket the profitability of your online publishing company or just your personal computer mining cryptocurrency and just make some extra income either for yourself or for your publishing company to better monetize your content and use that as a way to just basically make more money with your content without using advertisements. And also at an individual level, you can make a couple bucks a day, which is also kind of cool. So I got a computer over here, and I got some other computers that are like dedicated for mining. And what they do, right, is they just process their transactions for blockchain networks. They validate that money being sent from person A to person B is like actually being sent. And then they just secure the network against, attacks or people trying to screw up the balances in the accounts so that they, hack in more money or whatever. It's a little more interesting. It's just blockchain, right? So what we do with it, it's just this whole list of balances, and they have miners every day that come and they put in computing work to actually validate that everything's working a-okay and to make sure that it keeps working. And there's this cryptocurrency called Monero, and the basis of Monero ads, right? And with Monero, it's really cool because it's optimized for consumer SKU CPUs, right? So what's that mean, right? So there's like graphics cards, which are like these big metal cards. And then there's something called ASIC miners, which are these very, very large miners. And with the ASIC miners, they're designed specifically to mine cryptocurrencies. Graphics cards are designed to run like video games, computer graphics, and they're also very, very good at mining cryptocurrencies. But at a fundamental level, every single computer has to have the CPU, right? This little, dingy in the middle. And that's what is like actually running the basic computer. And that's what every single laptop, every single phone, every single tablet, every single piece of electronic equipment that like turns on and works, they have like a central processor, right? So that central processor is what Monero optimizes their platform for, so that it can be run over all Internet of Things, all little pieces of technology. And it works, it works on graphics cards, it works a little bit on ASICs. ASICs are just a whole different game. I talk about them in another video, but the point with those is that they're designed very, very, very specifically to be computers that are exclusively made to make money, which is super cool. Very, very amazing piece of technology. They're also much more expensive than most, normal computing parts. So with consumer SKU CPUs, when you optimize for those, what you're doing is you're optimizing for the everyday person, right? So, I've had a really big gaming computer over here, whatever. I use it for video. It's not a huge deal. And it's got super cool graphics cards. And you can use that to mine Monero, but usually you're going to have better work doing it with Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies that better reward graphics cards and normal computing. See, Monero is different because it doesn't reward graphics cards or ASICs as much as other networks. So what happens is that the smaller, normal, everyday CPU actually has an advantage in the marketplace. It actually works better for mining, and it makes more money relative to the rest of the network, right? Because the amount of money you make mining just depends on the power of the network. So if the network has like 1 million, they call them hashes. If hashes are really just a way to measure work. So if there's like 1 million people with pickaxes, and you come in as the 1,000,001st person, then you're gonna have 1/1,000,000th of the profit of the network. With GPUs, it's a little bit different, right? So with graphics cards, it's like instead of one person mining with their computer, with their CPU, now you have like 10 people, right? Because they're just much more effective. So with most networks, it's like 10 people per graphics card versus one person on their little tiny normal computer. Then with an ASIC, that's like 100 people on most cryptocurrencies, and that's like 100 people with pickaxes going at it. But with Monero, it's different because you have one person that's normal, and they have their pickaxe and they're going. And then if you look at the graphics card, instead of being 10 people, maybe it's only like 1.5, 2 people. It's just not significantly more effective. Then with ASICs, it just kind of depends on your price range and your scale, but you're essentially really close to that normal standard computing power from the CPU, from the normal computer, which is super, super, super powerful. They optimize it that way, and they go against ASICs that way because they want it to be open to more and more and more people, which is what makes it really the perfect wide-scale way to monetize consumer electronics and computers, because when you mine for the network, you're going to have a better chunk of those profits without specialized technology, which is super, super, super important. And that's why most normal computer, the normal CPU part, when people mine with it, you know, you can download these programs and they'll mine cryptocurrency for you, and they'll pick the best one to mine automatically. They're almost always mining Monero, because Monero is just best optimized for consumer SKU CPUs, which means they make the most money mining consumer SKU CPUs, right? Super powerful stuff. Over here, right, you can see is different levels of profit based on the piece of technology that you have. And that's why when I transitioned to this new technology called Webchain, there's some really, really, really insane things that have happened in this space, especially with mining. Because you got to understand, right? These are systems, these are software, and I mean, it's like computers, it's just a piece of code, right? So these currencies, they're all based on code, they're all based on computers, and it's just automatic, right? So the Monero network pays people money every single day, hundreds, thousands of dollars, right? Just for mining, right? And it depends, but they always have consistent payouts. So it's not like a centralized entity doing that, it's decentralized code, which is really, really, really powerful. So with Webchain, what they've done is they've taken Monero and then they've kind of like put it on steroids, right? So the purpose of Monero, the biggest thing behind it was privacy, right? So they wanted to make the transactions harder to trace so that it would be a more private cryptocurrency network. For whatever reason. It's pretty cool stuff. They have a great project. They do a lot of really awesome things, and their team's super passionate about it. It's a nonprofit team, obviously, for a decentralized application, which is really, really awesome. But with Webchain, what they've done is they've gone and they've said, look, we want this to actually make more money so that we can use it to monetize online content, which is awesome. I mean, dude, that's insanely great. You're looking at a very, very real world applicable use case where you can actually, you know, break away from Google Ads. If you guys saw my last video on breaking away from Google Ads and transitioning into blockchain technologies and cryptocurrency mining. So what they've done is, if they've taken Monero, they've gotten rid of, you know, the privacy part of it. It's a little bit based, you know, more on an open public ledger that shows all the transactions. Then they've also added a very, very special thing called a smart contract, which is super, super powerful. So what a smart contract does is it lets you basically take yourself and turn yourself into a line of code that you can run on a decentralized cryptocurrency network. So that if you create a program for like the Webchain network based on smart contracts, which are coded, you know, in the Ethereum language, which is the basis of smart contract. That contract will work on the network, and it'll constantly be supported by the network, right? The network hosts it, the network makes sure that it runs, and the way it does it is that the people that own the smart contract or make it, you know, there's funding for it based on the miners, based on the contract wallet, which is just a person in the blockchain network that you know, funds the transactions and the whatever happens with the smart contract, which is super, super, super powerful because it opens up this whole nother level, right? Like here you have the cryptocurrency, and then you have the mining of the cryptocurrency. Then these smart contracts are like this third ring that are super, super powerful because you can expand the sphere of influence you have, and you can also expand the power of your cryptocurrency network by letting these higher intelligence, smarter programs actually work, pay the network, create fees, and spur growth, which is really, really, really powerful. So what they'll do with Webchain, right? So they have this public network, and they also have these smart contracts, and it's really, really awesome because as you have newer currencies, right, there's less individuals mining them, and when there's less people mining them, instead of having 1 million people trying to get a chunk of Monero, you have maybe 100,000 people trying to get a chunk of Webchain. So what it does is it increases the amount of money that you can make in the given, currency network. So if this computer makes, 50 cents a day on Monero, then maybe it makes $1.50 on Webchain. And the way it does that is by using newer and more optimized mining techniques. And those mining techniques are super, super powerful because you get to this point where instead of having this older network, you have this newer network with more features and more benefits. So it creates a higher profit incentive for the end user and allows you to make significantly more with your mining, which is super, super powerful, especially if you're like an online publisher. Because if you have your users using Monero ads, using whatever to which you totally do. There's a free class below. Check it out, moneroads.com. Super cool stuff to actually turn your visitors into dedicated miners for you, right? So what they'll do is they'll go and they'll load a cross-device cryptocurrency mining script, and then the basis of that is that script actually loads on their computer in their browser, right? So they don't have to download anything, they don't have to do anything, and then it'll start to mine Monero. It'll start to mine Webchain for you, and then you have more profit per user, which means you make more from your publishing site, all based on contributing to this overarching Webchain network, which is just this whole cryptocurrency where everyone is, they're transacting, they're exchanging value, they're creating the basis for an entire financial market, an entire microeconomy of individuals exchanging value through this cryptocurrency network, and that validates proofs, it validates transactions. It also runs those smart contracts to create, an open and just immeasurably powerful area of growth. So it's really, really cool stuff. Insane to see. This came out from the team at Coinum, right? They were trying to establish a more profitable way to monetize online content, and they really hit it out of the ballpark here. So it's really, really cool stuff. They took an entire cryptocurrency into market, which is something you do. It's all based on I don't want to say big words, but the Ethereum network has some programs that they use, and it allows you to launch your currencies. And that's what they've done. It's called ERC20, which is awesome because it allows you to make these slight improvements in what you're doing, and use those improvements as a fundamental way to specialize in a very, very set place in the market. And what Coinum's done with Webchain is they've established this very, very specific part of the market where instead of working with these tougher areas of expertise or whatever it is that you do, they're actually able to take it to that next level of online monetization with higher profits per user, per computer, especially given the lower cost to actually get them there. And at the same time, it's the same amount of power, right? You're still using the same computer, you're just using it at a higher extent, at a higher ability. So it's really, really cool stuff like optimization of viewership and optimization of your own computer. I'll leave a link below to some miners you can use, and those are really, really cool because you just turn your computer and it just starts to make money passively, which is super, super awesome stuff. So I guess I'll get going on that. I really appreciate it, guys. Hope you found some amazing content, got some tremendous value out of this, and have a tremendous day. Have an awesome time, guys. I really, really appreciate it. I'll see you later. Bye.